The United States is one of just 3 markets that is lucky enough to be able to see Annihilation in theaters, the other 2 being China and Canada. Because Paramount chickened out on this release, they sold it to Netflix because they thought it would be too complicated for audiences, and now everywhere else gets it 17 days after its theatrical release here. Sure, some of you are gonna groan that you can't just watch it on Netflix here, because I know it's great to just be able to sit back on your own couch and enjoy the film in the comfort of your own home or on a laptop or whatever, and you don't have to deal with that warthog-faced buffoon who sits a row in front of you, 2 seats to the left, who pulls his phone out every 5 minutes, feels like he has to have it up on 100% brightness the whole time, and he spent $15 on this freaking film, but he doesn't feel like watching it apparently. Not based on a true story, I swear. However, please, take this moment, watch this video, and hear this argument that not only is Annihilation just a film that you should watch, but it's one that is far better on the big screen in the theater. The movie is based on a book by Jeff Vandermeer, titled the same as the movie. I haven't read that, so I can't really comment on how reading the book affects the film, but I've heard that they're extremely different. And the film stars most notably Natalie Portman, Oscar Isaac, and Tessa Thompson, and it's directed by Alex Garland, who, at least directorial-wise, is most known for Ex Machina. As the main character, Natalie Portman plays Lena, who is an army vet who now teaches some form of biology at Johns Hopkins, but she is taken to this government site, Site X, after her husband, Oscar Isaac, comes back from his last mission, but is very disoriented and has some health problems. Lena finds out that there's this thing called the Shimmer, which is really what it looks like is a giant bubble that is covering a part of a coast in the United States, and it keeps expanding, and it's going to keep expanding until it eventually covers up everything. And all the government knows about it is that everyone that they send in, it doesn't come back out, outside of Oscar Isaac's character. So then Lena joins up with the next group of people that's going into the Shimmer so that she can try and find out what the heck happened to her husband, and so she can save the world!
Can you describe its form?
No.
Start from the beginning.
The film plays it really as a science fiction thriller for the most part. And once you get past some of those like generic sci-fi names, Site X, really? It works extremely well. Once the crew gets into the Shimmer, spooky, they immediately are waking up from a camp that they don't even remember setting up. So the film is laying the groundwork that in the Shimmer, anything can happen really early. And then Garland shows great pace in having things escalate on the WTF scale from a 1 all the way up to a 10. And like it's a high 10. And the feeling of just that uneasiness that you have no idea what can happen next really carries you from one kind of set piece to the next. And in a lot of those set piece moments, especially when dealing with some of the creatures in the Shimmer, the film just lets the audience sit in a suffocating silence that builds the tension to terrifying heights. Oh, bears. Bears.
We can camp here tonight.
And the events are interesting, but the people, well, no, they're not. It felt like Garland put so much focus into the environment and the things in the Shimmer that the characters are just kind of side points to everything else. Each member of the crew just gets boiled down to their occupation as their character definition. The psychiatrist, the tech person, the medic. Outside of that, we hardly learn anything about them. The actors, I felt like, did a fine job portraying the characters, and they were always believable, especially given the wide range of emotions that a lot of them do go through. It was just, it didn't feel like any of them really had distinguished personalities, and so really the investment becomes more into what happens to the characters rather than the characters themselves. And it would have been great if maybe you could get a little bit invested in both. Lana does get more screen time than the others, but really her story is just explained through flashbacks that explain her relationship to her husband. Kind of feels like the film just was like, hey, here's Natalie Portman like her, which is fine, but you could always do better than that. Once the film concludes, there are a ton of questions left unanswered. Are plants people? Are people plants? How come some things happen to some people but not to others? Why did this thing look like that? How did it get to look like that? Why did it move like? And what happened? And it actually gets to the point where I'm not even sure if this was just the movie explaining things poorly, or if it intentionally asked these questions and left it ambiguous on purpose. And kind of the framework of the film is Natalie Portman in the future explaining things that already happened to her, and she's asked some of these questions that I was asking myself and just gives answers like I don't know or I can't remember. So maybe that was the film trying to address those questions and say, here audience, you think about it. But some people might go either way on whether that's just lazy or really thought-provoking, but personally, I thought it was so interesting.
It's beautiful.
Check this out.
It's like they're stuck in a continuous mutation.
Anything interesting in there?
No.
But finally circling back to what I started with this, what is not subjective about the film is its beauty. And this is why you have to see this in the theaters. During the day, inside the shimmer, things are bright with such a wide array of colors. But then at night, things almost transform into dark and decay and this intensely creepy and eerie vibe. The creatures have really creative designs, some of which are beautiful to see and the other ones are terrifying. But they all look good and well done, which is great because you get close to these things, and if the effects weren't believable, then would have seriously brought me out of the film. So when you combine those beautiful visuals with the ability of this film to provoke thought and the just pure suspenseful mystery that is placed around this giant bubble, I think this is a film that any sci-fi fan needs to see at least once and in theaters, and don't just download that Google add-on so that you can get foreign country Netflix. Don't do it.